Welcome back to another Disrupt Now podcast episode. This is all about getting up and out and into a new trajectory. Disruption for the greater good of all and our individual journeys. And today I have Amy Stein with me. Now, here's the thing about Amy. She's been on before. And if you didn't catch her former episode, I definitely would say go listen to that episode because it was really awesome. Amy and I connected again. She reached out and she said, oh, well, I just happened to have written a book since we last chatted. And that was episode 118 on the Disrupt Now podcast. And it's called What Being a Hypersensitive Person Means. Being the canary in a coal mine. It was really good. So just wanted to share. Go listen to that. Also, if you would like, it is definitely connected to what we talked about in this episode. So in this episode, we get into Amy's journey about unlearning. And of course, I share my unlearnings too, to regain trust and healing. And she wrote a book. And in this book, she goes through this process of how we need to unlearn so many things that we've learned and we've taken in as being truthful, as being like the core and or foundation of truth around healing or health. And the big misnomer here is that, most of that stuff we completely have to throw out and start afresh, start anew, and really bring truth, nature, and knowledge back again. And Amy and I are just very kindred souls, and I just love her. And we actually have another episode coming out after this one because we wanted to continue our conversation. Amy Stein's mission is to educate and empower others who are suffering with physical, mental, or emotional health issues by learning to reconnect with the innate intelligence of our bodies, by looking to work with Mother Nature's intelligence rather than against it. And her approach is a mind-body-spirit one, which uses the power of plants, energy medicine techniques, and breath work to assist in reconnecting you back to your body. Amy, welcome back after like a million years.
Feels like yesterday.
Really, you're sitting here in front of me and I'm like, hello, how are you? Like we just talked yesterday.
I love that how like we can just fall back where we were and it's like no time has passed.
I know.
It's great.
It's brilliant. That's the way it should always be. All right. So we are going to talk about lots of things. Okay, so I have to share with you. So our last episode, what being a hypersensitive person means, being the canary in the coal mine. Mm-hmm. I want to say that episode has done probably the best out of all of our episodes.
Really? That's exciting.
Yeah. So what that really told me is that there's a lot of hypersensitive souls out there that, we had talked about this. Many of us like step into that role and then it dawns upon us, this is what's going on. Mm-hmm. And I think that some people have gone through like large portions of their life not knowing it all. Yeah. And so having these conversations are so imperative. So I just wanted to share that.
That's incredible. No, I want people to feel seen, heard, and believed, which is why I started doing these episodes, right? Yeah. It was not for me to do it for me. It was to do it for all the other people who were like, there's something wrong with me. I'm broken. Nobody believes me. What is like, I can't go on like this. I wanted people to know like, no, there are people like you. Yeah. It's just not talked about in the medical arena. A lot of things are not talked about in the medical arena. But like, let's shed some light on it. Let's, let's bring this to the forefront because being highly sensitive is not the same as empathic. People confuse that. Like highly sensitive, you're born with that trait in utero. Like there is no decision on it. Yeah. Empathic is formed by experience, right? And a lot of us are highly sensitive and empathic, but we don't understand the difference and we don't understand how to work with the body because we're told from a very young age, there's something wrong with you. You're too sensitive, grow a thicker skin. You're broken. Like your labs are quote unquote normal. Right. You're a complainer. I got class complainer in the yearbook. Like, and I was like, this is ridiculous because I'm trying to shed light on things. I was a rebel even then, like trying to shed light on these problems, these issues that I saw. And it wasn't taken seriously. Instead, it was like, be quiet. You know, we want to see you and not hear you. And it was a whole thing from childhood on. And I know I'm not the only person like this. And doing these interviews has been great for me because I've met a lot of like-minded individuals who are like, yeah, me too. I'm raising my hand. That's me too. And I think it's really important for us to do that because we live in such a disconnected, disassociated society. It's really a serious issue in that we are facing an epidemic beyond anything we could ever thought could have happened with chronic illness and chronic disease. And it is due to the way we live our lives now.
Yes. And, you know, since we last talked, you know, you as an herbalist, you working with energy medicine, you know, so I just to share too that we have so many, our lives are very like this, you know. Yes. So my master herbalism studies, you know, I'm going into the mastery component, although the mastery really is going to last the rest of my incarnate, you know, how
you never stop learning. The plants are
Yes. But a layer to that is I actually finished in May. I did a certification with the Root Cause Protocol Institute, which is Morley Robbins, which you've probably come across in all of your research as well. And I'll tell you what, not only was that intense, but you go so deep in the training. That's why I did it. Because I'm like, I know that I can't get, you know, I'm not going to be able to go to the depths if I'm not like brought along, like, come on, let's keep going. Yeah. Because what that did is in May after I finished, I felt destroyed because what I learned, it's like, it was so overwhelming to know the level, to the degree of what purposeful intent to harm has been done. And I
continues to be perpetuated.
Yeah. And you like, you know, you had to stop writing the book because you get to, and I had to stop doing like lots of things around it. I'm like, you know, I'm not going to talk about anything healing or health for a long time. Like I need a couple months off here. Like I'm just now, you know, getting into that feeling again. But let's talk about that process of the book and let's talk about your book. Let's show, hopefully you guys are watching the video. It's
Go grab the book. Go grab the book. It's really important to grab the book. No, and I say that as a joke, but I say it in all sincerity because Natalie and I are very similar in that we do the research, and a lot of people don't like to do the research, right? But we felt called to do the research. I was a medical researcher for a number of years, so I can do the research, right? To let them know that it's okay to try something different. Different doesn't mean bad. It's just different.
And as you and I well know, it is literally the only places that we've been able to find healing for the things that we've dealt with, which are unique but also similar, is never, ever going to live in mainstream. It will always lie in the abyss of the hidden, the unknown. Although there was like one person,
the alternative,
you know, and so what I've also come to realize, and maybe you have as well, we should probably talk about this too, is, but that thing that actually works, that was actually done every day 10,000 years ago.
Right, exactly. It's existed for thousands of years, but it's alternative. Big Tobacco was really strong, and they were like, hey, smoking is healthy. Doctors were advocating for people to smoke. It's healthy, right? Like we know this now, like that's not healthy.
All the ads, right?
Right. Yeah. Yes. And then it goes, you know, and so all of these practices were manufactured, and then Big Tobacco took over Big Food in the 1980s. And that's when they started adding addictive properties to ultra processed food, because ultra processed food came in the 1950s. Like, hey, we're going to make American housewives' lives easier. We're going to give you some Stouffer's meals. We're going to like tell you to eat cereal because it's really good for you. And the food pyramid, and like all of that happened then. The 1980s, Big Food was like, oh, we see money here. We're going to take over. Big Tobacco's like, we're going to take over Big Food. We're going to start adding flavoring to all these ultra processed foods to make people addicted to them. And it actually makes them more harmful, but they're addicted to them, so they're not going to stop eating them. And this whole system continues on to this day. And people who speak out about it are vilified. Robert F. Kennedy Jr., vilified, right? Mark Hyman, vilified. All the people spoke out about vilified, lost their license. A lot of people lost their medical licenses, can't practice medicine. I mean, your doctor, even if they know these things, like if they don't follow the rules, they can lose their license.
Oh yeah. On this journey of sharing and just more like it's the research process and the layers. I call it the underbelly discovery, like of this world. This is the underworld that is talked about in myths and legends and such.
Yeah. Everything's going to fall.
Yeah. But it's when you see that and you can't unsee it, regardless of how difficult our lives are for what has to take place next, finding avenues, all these trying to have these conversations and figuring out where can we post this, where can we share things,
right?
That's why it really takes, the true essence of what a warrior means is a courageous and brave person who is a guardian and protector of truth. And so we're having to turn that on.
Yes. And that's a part of the unlearning, is everything you thought you knew about sickness and health, everything that you thought you knew about the government keeps you safe. Government doesn't care about keeping you safe. That is like the biggest fallacy as it is. And the thing is that I love this quote that Dr. Mark Hyman said on a podcast interview. He says, "The smartest doctor in the room is your body."
I love that.